So sick of feeling like I'm alone in this place, and so sick of feeling like life is gonna be wasted. I just wanna be someone, wanna be greatness, yeah. I just wanna be happy, wanna make changes. But I don't know where to start, how do I grow? Maybe there's something inside I could strive for. Maybe it's all in my mind that could guide towards something better in my life.
Hello and welcome to the Marko Yamashita Show. I am your host, Marko Yamashita, coming at you live. If not a little bit scuffed because I am still putting stuff together. Yet we are getting everything together as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So I do ask you to bear with me as we continue to go over the live coverage and the developing coverage of what has happened and transpired with Pikamee here over the last few days. I do want to go over what exactly has been said, what has been going through the Twitterverse, and address the elephant in the room here, which most people are now quoting as gospel, and with people saying that the creator and the founder of VOMs, I guess you would pronounce it correctly as Gary, said that this was a planned, it was planned a long time ago, graduation event, that it was something that was planned and organized a long time ago. I was just shot a message that I forgot to send a message that we went live. I did, didn't I? Okay, pardon me for just 1 second here, but yes. So apparently, just to cover what has happened over the last few seconds here, and we will go over it step by step here as I outline everything that has happened. Okay, with the way things have transpired, a simultaneous announcement went out by Pikamee and her agency that she had and was in fact graduating. All right, and during that announcement, if you look at the announcement proper states that she was graduating. She was going to graduate on March 31st, and that she was going to graduate after the event that they had planned. All right. Now that is not in dispute, and we will go to the actual. We will go to their announcement page here. Or we'll go to their Twitter account here, and we will look at. Well, they really already spammed and buried their own announcement here. Okay, so their important announcement here. Okay, now and their important announcement here, and we're what's happening and what I'm doing, and I know a lot of you are looking at this already and saying, okay, this is old news, Marko. This is old news, Marko. Okay, no, what we're doing here is we are looking at the exact timeline of everything that is happening. Okay, so and this is extremely important that you guys pay attention and look at the exact timeline of how things are transpiring. Okay, this notice came out at 7:07 p.m. my time. Okay, the notice that we are looking at came out at 7:07 my time on March 1st. Okay, now this is the notice everyone is referring to, and this is the notice that everyone is looking at and saying and citing. Okay, and the notice that they were citing here is that Pikamee announced that she is doing her graduation. She is planning on graduating from bombs, and that that this event will be planned and implemented after we shared the Pikamee graduation with Maru in advance, and they said that they would love to send us off together. Okay, now when you look at this, you have to realize, number one, this is coming from a Japanese talent agency. All right. Now, this they don't exactly have like an EN branch that speaks fluent Japanese or fluent English, and the irony part of this is if you take their Japanese if you take their Japanese statement here, all right, and you run it through DeepL, it's almost word for word what comes out in this statement here. All right. So essentially what happened, in my estimation, is that, and you can take this statement here. All right. You can take this and save the image. You can save this image as a JPEG, and then you can actually take this, convert it to a PDF, and then run it through Google, and Google Translate will be almost word for word what this statement is. Okay? In my estimation, this translation is essentially almost word for word machine translation, which is why you get the bad grammar. Okay? There's, it's almost mind-boggling that people don't even bother to even think about this. Eugene, welcome to the chat. Hello. Umberto, welcome to the chat. Hello. All right. No one's even bothered to think about this. Okay. Now, if you look again at the timestamp of this statement came out at 7:07 p.m. March 1st. All right. Also with the Japanese translation of the statement. All right. Now, if you go to Pikamee's. If you go to Pikamee's, if you go to Pikamee's account, oh, she's doing VR chat. Oh, wait a minute. I'm just I'm getting old search results. All right. If you go to Pikamee's account and then you go to, wow, she's been busy. Yes, you will be my girlfriend. Okay. And you go to her statement when she released her video statement. Her statement was released at 7 a.m. on March 1st. Okay? So that means her statement came out before the press release. Okay? Now, listen again to what I just said. Her statement came out before the press release. We go back to the press release, okay? This event will be planned and implemented after we've shared Pikamee's graduation with Maru. That means her graduation had to have taken place only after they have informed Maru, correct? All right. So that means that the press release couldn't have happened until her graduation was announced, which means that her graduation couldn't have been announced until they have told Maru. All right? Now, given the fact that they have had to tell Maru in advance and ensure with Maru that it was still okay, and they said that they would love to send them all off together, which takes time. It doesn't just, the Hogwarts incident happened, and within 2 days they say, oh, this is perfectly okay. That means that you have to have that talk with them and say, okay, she decided to graduate. All right? You don't word your announcement that it is sudden. You don't sit there and say that you're going to assure that your fans that an event that has happened that you announced last month will still happen as scheduled because of a graduation that was planned long ago. If you look at any other VTuber's graduation that was planned in advance, that graduation announcement is made and they give at least a couple of months in advance, and that VTuber says, I have decided to graduate. The events that are going to be announced or that have been announced are still going to happen. We are still going forward with everything that we've had planned. And the agency does not have to reassure the fans that things haven't changed simply because of an announcement. The agency doesn't have to cover for the fact that a VTuber is graduating. They don't word things like this because all of a sudden a VTuber says, you know what? I want to graduate in 4 months, but let's not make it public until the last minute. But let's plan all this stuff ahead of time. But let's not tell the toy company that is making the merch for our event until, a month before. Because that's exactly what this press release implies. Okay? This press release implies Nightcore, welcome to the stream. No, I want to hammer this home because there are thousands of people out there that are literally liking and agreeing with this nonsense like like it's gospel. Okay, you have translators out there, translators like this person out there who sit there and do. And let me be clear. This person is a legit. They are legit. Okay. They do speak Japanese and they do translate Japanese to English legit. Okay. I'm not disputing their legitimacy of that, but they do Japanese to English legit translations, and they are automatically making connections and passing misinformation that is not true. Okay? And they're simply passing it off as gospel. Case in point, this one right here. And I'm not going to give her... I'm not going to give this person the honor of streaming her entire video on my channel, okay? But she goes through and tries to connect the fact that the owner and founder of the Bombs project literally sits there and on a stream rereads the entire press release and states, this was planned for a while, and stuff like that, and let's just make that clear, okay? I know I'm being evasive. But yeah, let's just go with that. Okay, as the head and organizer and the founder of an agency that finds himself right in the middle of a controversy with their head and most popular VTuber quitting on him. He can't go out in public and say, yeah, she's quitting on me because of the Wizard game. I'm sorry, you can't do that. He literally can't do that. He literally has to try to spin the story however he can in order to deflect as much hate as he can. Now, I'm not saying that what he is doing is not in the best interest of his remaining talent. Nor am I saying what he is doing is not in the best interest of trying to get the conversation to move on. But what I am saying is that people like this are passing off the misinformation as gospel when the context of what is being said is not true. You cannot, as a CEO, as an organization founder, go out in public and say and literally say the Wizard game caused my top talent to quit. Because if he did that, he would find himself right in the middle of a war, and his remaining talent would be in the crosshairs. And he can't do that. He just can't do that. I'm sorry. Yes, Eugene, thank you for contributing to the chat. Yes, you are exactly right on that. Okay, and I totally agree with your statement. Your statement is very very correct. Every VTuber has an out, so to speak, of how they they know at some point they're going to graduate. I think Pikamee didn't think that she was going to graduate in this fashion. However, I think she knew at some point she was going to graduate. So yes, that is very correct. Okay. Now, I want to reiterate that again. I don't want people to look at content creators like this and say that content creator is spreading misinformation, I'm going to go openly attack them. Nor am I doxing or I am singling them out for people to go after them, okay? That being said, these people that I am pointing out are making public statements in a public forum, putting their thoughts out on the internet for other people to find and read, okay? The fact that I am also on a public forum, showing it publicly and making a public statement in response to them is no different than me making a statement on Twitter or any other social platform in response to what they are saying. All right. The fact that maybe I am on a little higher platform and able to actually say, look at what they're saying, this is my response, makes no difference. Because I could actually go on Twitter and make a video and post it there. And probably get seen even more. But the fact of the matter is, people like this are making videos like this. And then they're spreading it around on YouTube and Twitter and other platforms. And those platforms are then sharing them around. And then other people are just automatically believing that misinformation. Okay? And she contradicts herself further by saying that this was planned a long time ago, simply by the video that she posted today. Okay? And let's be honest here. This is a analytics site that I subscribe to. All right, and this person is based out of Malaysia, and as you can see, ever since she started posting things about Pikamee, her subscriber rank has just continued to climb, right? So I mean, she's just profiting off of this like crazy, you know. And here's the things, okay? Yesterday, she posted a video that Pamu from Niji knew of it in advance, okay? And that Pikamee had messaged Pamu in advance that she was going to graduate. So it was something that was already known, and that this whole thing was kind of premeditated and just kind of almost fell in line that, you know, Pikamee was going to graduate. The wizard thing just happened to happen at the same time, and then she just happened to disappear after that, and then she just happened to graduate after the wizard thing happened, and Pamu just happened to know about that. But, you know, Pamu also just happened to also be crying over the entire thing and just happened to cancel her stream over the graduation announcements, even though she happened to know about it in advance. But she also happened to, be emotional about it, even though she happened to know about it before everyone else. Does anything not make sense about that? Also the fact that Pamu is more of a fan, according to the clip that she uses here, and not an actual friend. She's like a VTuber that is kind of like Pikamee is her Oshi, and she's not an actual friend. She's kind of like a senpai type Oshi type person. And Pamu, Pikamee just happened to tell her in advance. But as we get the timestamps of today's streams from Pikamee that we'll get to a little later, Pikamee clearly states in her chat stream today that almost like a ton of her actual VTuber friends and actual friends were sending her nothing but emotional support, and they were crying over her graduation announcement that they didn't know about it until the first. Okay, why would she tell somebody who she's only an Oshi to before her actual friends that are in the VTuber, sphere about her graduation, if this was all planned in advance? I mean, something doesn't make sense with that, is what I'm saying, okay? Adrian, welcome to the chat. I think they both might be right. Pikamee might have planned to graduate, but the whole drama was the final straw. It might have exacerbated it. Now, she might have been talking about graduation. Now, that could be true. That could also very much be true. She could have been talking about wanting to graduate and move on. And then when the Hogwarts controversy happened, she could have gone back to management and said, okay, this is it. I'm done. Okay, that could also be true. That is a possibility. We do not know that. That is also a good point. That is also something that people can make assumptions about, but that's all. That's as a reminder, that is all that it is an assumption. Because if you take what the current evidence is in play about, all you have are a single line that is being said by the owner several days after press releases were released and statements were released by the talent in an effort to address what was initially released. And then you have statements that are made after his statement that kind of contradict what he says, but also exacerbate your very statement right there. Okay, so we will also get to that kind of statement right there in a little bit. So great comment. I appreciate that, because it is also a very valid point and a very valid outlook of what could have happened. So great point, Adrian. As much as I hate to see what has happened with Pikamee, many people feel it needs to cool down, cool the pot, because people are boiling over. Eugene, also a great comment. I was just about to get to that, because the next clip, and this clip here from that you are put up, is actually probably one of the better clips that she put up about this entire thing. And I'm going to play it almost in its entirety, but I'm going to skip this first part because, quite frankly, and this is kind of what I hate about what she does. In a lot of ways, a lot of times what it seems like she does is she takes what the translator is in chat is saying, and just basically cleans up what the live translator is doing, and then she cleans it up. But essentially, someone posed the question. No, it's not fair for us to ask of you, but please make sure for us, Pikamee is doing fine over the coming weeks. And she doesn't really make too much of a statement about this. But instead, what she does is she instead goes into a statement about and let me find. It's here. And hang on, let me kill the music just for a second here. 'Cause that...
ね、そうそうそう。そうなんです。しかもその悪質、まあ騒ぎたい人にとっては関係ないそうですね。なんだけども、悪質なのがなんか理解できる攻撃対象にしかしない。こいつね、言っても多分、わかんないからやめとこみたいな。さあ、そうですね、思いますね。そう、人種も国籍も性別も、考え方も思想も、宗教も、何にも関係ない。それが VTuber の世界。だということを今一度皆さんに分かっていただきたい。Yes, VTubing is not. It doesn't matter your skin color, your race, your sex, your anything. Nothing matters in the VTubing world, okay? Nothing. It's a different world. Apart from where human beings live, okay? It does not matter in our world, okay? Why do people still don't understand that? That's why we VTube in the first place, okay? We didn't want to be discriminated in an unfair situation. そういうこと。まあ VTuber っていうのがそうたくさん増えてたくさんの人がやるようになったことはいいことなんだけども、愛も変わらず起きてはいけないことは起きている。終わりにしてよ。
And I think Kason is exactly right on everything she just said. Everything. And that's why, my channel is run the exact same way, I mean, your race, your skin color, your gender, your sexual orientation, your preferences, none of that shit matters in my channel. All right? You can like men, women, trans, be gender fluid, whatever the hell it is, Just don't come waving the banner in my chat, because none of that matters. You're accepted. You don't have to push that agenda in my chat. We get it. That's what you are. And that's where people get pissed off, is that, we don't care what you are. We care who you are. You are you. That's what we care about. Now come on, just join us. We're over that already, And that's what the VTuber world is supposed to be. But yet people jump in to the VTuber world and they try to make it about what you are. And that's not what the VTuber world is. The VTuber world is about who you are. We already accept what you are. It doesn't matter. And people still think it should matter when we've already accepted the fact that you are who you are and what you are. And as long as you try to be a good person in our world, that's what counts. And that's why, when Pikamee got bullied for wanting to play the wizard game, that's why so many of us got upset. Was because she was bullied for wanting to be who she was. And if she wanted to play the wizard game, and that's what caused her to say, you know what, I've had enough, I'm leaving. And that was something that she had been considering for a while, and that was the trigger that made her graduate. that was still the cause, even if it was something she was discussing a while ago. Even if there were plans for her eventual graduation. You know what? An agency can prepare for someone's eventual graduation and then have something happen where the trigger is pulled, and then they have to start trying to figure out how they're going to graduate that person. But here's the thing. When you start looking at what she talks about today, you start looking at what she said, and things start getting a little fuzzy with those things. All right, and there's a lot of timestamps here within her own graduation that really bring into question what she was talking about. And let me pull up her graduation here.
Thank you so much.
Now I remember you as smiling here, Pikamee. So we're gonna cover some of her points in graduation here. All right, we're not gonna cover everything in her video, but we're gonna cover some of her points in graduation. All right, and we're gonna kill the music here real quick.
Your support and all your love and everything. You guys did it for me. Thank you so much. As I announced yesterday, when the VTuber community is graduating, yes, graduating, or I am quitting. I'm not sure which one should I use, but anyway, I am leaving.
All right, now, as she explained here, all right, she basically said, you know, I'm graduating, or because that's the word that you're supposed to use in the VTuber community. But then she also turned around and says that she's quitting, right? Now, in the VTuber community, that is a forbidden word to say that you're quitting, all right? VTuber community, especially if you're part of an agency, that is forbidden. You don't say that you're quitting. You definitely don't say, you know, especially if you're terminating your contract. You know, if you are terminating your contract, you don't say you're quitting. If you are terminated, that the agency definitely doesn't say that they've, you know, like they fired you. They definitely don't say that. All right. That's why the term graduating was invented, was because you are trying to, like, literally put roses around the fact that the talent is leaving. All right. But as she said there, you know, she did say, you know, this is the way that it said in the VTuber community, or that I'm quitting. All right. Now hold that thought.
Just really want to say thank you so much for all support. That's all I want to say. Thank you guys so much だよ。ありがとう。ね。本当にね、ありがとうございますと。いや、本当ね、いろんな人に本当にメッセージとかももらって、VTuber さんとか YouTuber さんとかね、ストリーマーさんとか、いろんな人からね、本当にたくさんのメッセージいただきまして、I got a tons of message from a lot of people, including you guys and my VTuber friends, my friends on the internet. Like, a lot of people gave me a lot of support and message. So, and that made my day. So, 本当にね、めちゃくちゃ嬉しかった。そう。なんでね、本当にね、なんかこう恵まれてるなと思いました。I am so lucky to have you guys. So, I am very lucky to have you guys though. So.
Now, Personally, I find this very refreshing for the fact that, despite the fact that that she was very emotional and she's a very emotional person, that she got a lot of positive responses from the internet upon her announcement. Now, again, I also want to reiterate that if this was known in advance and she had privately told people in advance, first of all, if she had told people in advance that she was graduating, that would be a breach of confidential information and a breach of confidentiality of her contract, a breach of her NDA, and people have been fired from agencies for less. So you if you go back to what Pamu said, and she knew about it way before, and Pamu's part of Niji, by the way, and not part of VOMS. Why would Pamu know about this in advance before the announcement has even been made public? If this happened, if this decision was made in advance before the fact that it was announced on March 1st. Not only that, how come it wasn't until March 1st that so many VTubers suddenly became emotional and canceled their streams and reached out to her about her graduation? If this was known in advance, and she had already reached out to at least one VTuber in advance who was not affiliated with her and told her in advance that she was going to be graduating. Just saying. I'm just putting it out there. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Alright? Hey, stop that. Stop that. Stop it. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. 14. 27. I'm just putting that out there. Alright? Alright.
It's going to be my last month on March, so I was thinking that I hope I can do collabs with a lot of people and VOMS member as well. So, we've been planning some few collabs for this month, so I'm very, very excited. 今月はね、もうすでに
Okay, so she has been planning some collabs for this month, which, is that, collaborations typically take months to plan. All right, now that is part of the VTuber life, especially if you are working with other people. Well, even if you're working within your own agency. Luckily her agency is rather small. But if you're working with other agencies and other non-agency talents, I mean, it could take months of preparation. Okay, so that is an acceptable statement that she has just made. Okay, now. Given that fact, the statement before that, the fact that she is hoping that she can do other collaborations, within this month before she graduates, that statement right there says that they aren't even prepared to do other collaborations with other talent for this month, other than the ones that they have already been trying to prepare for. Okay? So, that means that you might see collaborations that happen, and when they start, they're gonna, you will hear them say, this was a last minute thing. Okay, so watch for this month and see how many of them give some indication that it was a last minute planning event and they happened or were able to schedule it within that time frame so they could get together before she graduates. Because if you see a lot of them say that, that means they were spontaneous or they were able to rework their schedules and they were unplanned. That also means that this graduation was not planned in advance. Because again, collaborations take time, planning, and effort to pull off. They don't just happen. All right, next clip. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why you don't see me collab at all. If anything, you see me actually do more participation with other VTubers than collab. Quite frankly, because it's much easier for me just to pop into another VTuber's stream, you know, as a participant and say, hey, I'm here, I'll play with you, than try to, like, get all the logistics behind, try to get the okays with all the management and the agencies, get all the proper documents and all the other fun stuff signed, and, you know, non-disclosure agreements, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you haven't watched this stream with her, her story about her mother and COVID, and then what her mom, they discovered her mom had contracted in addition to COVID, is actually kind of cute and funny, and that they're gonna have to send a camera probe into Pikamee to find out whether or not she has contracted a parasite her mom also has. and Pikamee makes a comment, since they're gonna have to stick a camera in her, they're gonna have to stick the camera either down her nose or down her throat. And then Pikamee makes a comment. She's like, "Well, at least they're not gonna stick the camera up my butt." And the way she says it is just so cute. So, anyways, it's worth watching for. And the timestamp is 1551. If you don't want to watch any of the rest of it, go to 1551. It starts there. It's really cute. But the last timestamp I want to hit is right here. I think 21, 26.
理由つけて怖いからなんか来月やろうかなみたいな。そう。I remember when I had a like cavity, like teeth cavity, and I told my chat that I have a cavity, and my chat kept telling me to go to the dentist every single stream I do. They're like, Pika, have you gone to a dentist? Pika, have you gone to a dentist? Pika, have you gone to a dentist? Like that. So I'm just gonna go to the hospital after I quit.
See, and again, she uses the term quit. All right, and she uses the term quit a couple more times throughout the rest of the stream. Okay, she never again says graduate. She says quit. She says quit, not graduate. Quit. All right. Any other VTuber out there would say graduate. Especially if they're part of an agency. They say graduate. Pika uses the word graduate or quit. She never once she I think actually she says graduate. She says graduation for when she is bullying chat about her father, because she mentions her father, and then somebody super chats about, like, is your father single? And she bullies chat about asking about her father being single instead of worrying about her graduating. She does say it in that context, but in referring to herself, for the rest of the chat, when she refers to herself, she refers to it as quitting instead of graduate or graduation, except for in the reference of her father. Okay, so that, with that in mind, it really begs the question about, you know, number one of the questions that were floating out there in Twitterverse the last couple of days was, you know, is Voms actually forcing Pikamee to quit or to graduate? And my response would be no. You know, they're not forcing her to graduate. They're not forcing her to retire. In my opinion, it sounds like it was a mutual agreement. It was something that was talked out. It was not something that had just like spontaneously been decided. It was not something that she just at the spur of the moment just said, okay, you know what, I quit. Because of Hogwarts, all right? People are trying to correlate her graduation and her announcement with Hogwarts, all right? Now, bear in mind, she went through the bullying thing when she made the announcement she was going to play Hogwarts and then retracted that statement. There was several weeks, business weeks, that transpired between the time that she retracted her announcement of playing the game, of wanting to play the game, of her intent on playing the game, and now. All right? There were, 2-3 weeks, at least, business weeks that transpired between those two dates, between March 1st and when she made that announcement. Actually, I think it was probably closer to an actual month. So within a month time span, you had her make a business decision along with her agency, and her agency reach out to the toy company that was working with them for this pop-up event in advance, by the way, of the event. Ensure that it was still okay with them, and that company said that they would love to send Pikamee off with her gen mates before she graduates. And then they all made the announcements, with Pikamee making her announcement first, followed by Voms, which meant that Pikamee made her announcement in advance before Voms made their announcement, reassured their fans that everything will go ahead as planned, and that the plan would proceed after everything had been assured. Everything, all the loopholes have been closed. There is literally no loophole within the logic after you look at everything that I have just outlined to you. Practically the only question would be whether or not she had actually started making plans at some point to say, this is my last year. But that's irrelevant if Hogwarts was the final straw and she said, I quit. Because based upon what she is talking about today, she is literally saying that after March 31st, she quits. She's quitting being a VTuber. That's all that matters. And when you quit a job, that means you're no longer at that job. Now, the fact that she has quit, online bullying did transpire. She was forced to cancel playing a game because of that. And the systemic hate that resulted from the game towards other people, including other VTubers, is a problem. And as Kason outlined, our world does not give a damn about your social justice that you want to push in your agenda in the real world. Because all we care about in the virtual world is people and what we want. And if you want to join us in this virtual world, you put all that shit aside, you put it at the door, and you join us because we want you. We don't want your bullshit in our world. And if that's too much to ask of you, you're knocking at the wrong door. It's plain and simple. We don't care. We don't want your bullshit in our world. That's why we've created this world. That's why we escape to video games and we make worlds. We make lore. We make a world where this bullshit, we fight against this bullshit. And we eradicate this bullshit. Because we don't want that bullshit in our world. We want peace and harmony where we can all hang out and we can all be equal. In our world, that fight's already been won. And when it shows up, we blow it away so we can go back to what we want to do. And when we have to fight, those fights are contained in video games. They're not contained in our chats. They're not contained in, the VRs that we interact in. Unless the VRs are video games. The smile that's on the screen right now is the smile that should always be existing on Pikamee, not tears. Any questions? Yeah, I didn't think so. It's rather sad that, out of all the nonsense that is being said, you have someone who is an alien who is, that comes into our world that is different in our world. And people look at her as an oddity, but yet is still loved, gets run out of our world for being an oddity, just because she wants to be accepted and try something, different. And then you have a person who is supposed to understand the borders between our world and other people's worlds and be able to fluently translate things back and forth. And despite knowing all the logistical and languages and lexicon in between those worlds fails to understand the nuances of what's going on and convey them to the population and the world at large. And it took a degen a degenerate, somebody who society actually shuns on a regular basis. It took somebody who was literally run out of one of the biggest talent agencies in the VTuber industry to spell it out to the rest of the fucking world what a VTuber is supposed to be and what the fan base is supposed to be. Why did it take Kason, Coco, somebody who got blackballed, but yet is loved and adored by hundreds of thousands of people, who, by the way, would have been making Hololive $1 million a year just in super chats? That's no lie. There's statistical proofs to back that up. Why did it take Kason to spell that out to the rest of the world? That what just transpired was not the fact that Pikamee is leaving the VTuber world on March 31st as somebody who has graduated in events that it has been planned for a long time, but is a victim and is leaving as a victim of somebody who was bullied, cyberbullied, and run out of the VTuber world because of things in a political agenda that was organized and executed by a group of people who wanted to express an opinion about a topic that the VTuber industry and the VTuber world at large does not give a damn about, because that kind of bullshit does not exist in the world that we have built. We accept trans people equally in the VTuber sphere at large. Do you know how many trans people are VTubers in the VTuber sphere? Do you know how many trans VTubers are already out there? Do you see any VTubers out there openly protesting other trans VTubers out there, saying, no, you cannot be a trans VTuber? Do you see any anti-trans VTuber groups asking Twitter or YouTube to cancel them out of their platforms? No, we accept all. Because we accept trans people in VTubing. That's the other BS that is going on Twitter right now. I see plenty of people say, "Oh, look, you know what? Look at all the transphobes out there now because of what happened with Pikamee. And look at this. All the other VTubers out there are silent. Silent is consent." Bullshit. If silent is consent, guess what? We have been consenting towards trans people being part of the VTuber industry since day one. Yes, silence is consent. You have been here since day one, and we have consented towards you being part of our community since day one. It works both ways. So don't play that game with us. Kason hit it right on. We don't care about your sex, your gender. If you like men, women, you're gender fluid. If you are a furry, if you like whatever. We don't care about that stuff. We care about you. You want to be part of a VTuber community? You want to create your own community? Hell, if there's one thing that Hololive has right is this. We are here to create worlds. We want to create worlds. Hell, when I stepped into the VTuber world, in the VTuber sphere, I was here to explore those worlds. But instead, I keep getting sucked out of exploring those worlds because I have to talk about this kind of stuff because people keep trying to drag real life into these worlds. And there has to be at least one person out here trying to separate those things so people understand, hey, there's a difference between what happens in the VTuber sphere and what happens in real life. Yes, people need to be able to, have love and express love. And they need to be able to feel love. That's how VTubing works. There are so many VTubers out there who sit there and they mope and they complain, life sucks, people just hate me, my life is a drag, I just hate the world so much, and, today I got into this argument on Twitter, and this person, he's just such a drag. Look how he flamed me. Look, now that I called him out on Twitter, he's like giving me these lame replies, and I'm just gonna reply to him back, and let's just wait and see what happens. And I just wish he'd go away. Yeah, I don't know why he keeps bothering me. It's like, because you keep replying to him. And then they wonder why can't they get monetized? No one comes and watches me. It's like, well, you know what? Maybe if you talk about something interesting, do something interesting, be a little bit different, be engaging, play a game, not talk about why, why your life sucks all the time and every single stream that you ever do. Maybe not make your avatar look like you're like half dead and falling apart. And expect people to like you because, you look like you should be part of an autopsy. Just a thought, Kason, she's, obviously she's an attractive avatar, she has an attractive avatar that rather mirrors what she looks like in person, more or less. Her voice is kind of off-putting at times, but at the same time, there's an attraction towards her because of her personality. Maybe have a personality. I'm just saying. There's something there. She may be onto something. That's kind of a thing. Same thing with Pikamee. Pikamee, she has, she doesn't have like the most, kawaii voice. However, she has a personality. You know, and she has her own thing going there. And, you know, and she created her own environment with her own world. And that's partly why you start seeing VTubers start declining in subscribers and popularity, because they start dragging too much of the real world into their streams and presentation, when you should be creating a world for people to get involved in, instead of, you know, dragging so much of real life into that world that you're trying to create. You know, I've gone into some of that in depth on my channel, where you see more and more with certain VTubers that, you know, their popularity starts declining, because the more and more they drag their real world, their real problems, and what happens with them in real life into their streams. People don't care about that. They don't want to know that. And the people that do are you know, their intentions are, you know, they want to see that they want to see that talent self implode. And as soon as the talent, you know, implodes, they turn on the talent, and then they move on to somebody different. Whereas you see the other people who are creating worlds and creating, you know, different types of things within those worlds. You see their populations and their popularity continue to blossom, and they continue to grow, because that fantasy and that environment continues to expand. Hell, that's why you see Marine, all of a sudden she's getting 22 million on her most recent, you know, music video. And it's not just because she's doing a sexy dance. It's because she's actually doing something with her character. And it's not just, hey, look at me, I'm kawaii. No, she's actually doing something with her character finally. And that's what Kayson's talking about. You know, we're here to create worlds. We're not here to drag real life into our worlds and say, hey, you know what? This is real life. We're just doing this in you know, live 2D form now. That's not what we're trying to do. And that's not what we should be doing. I mean, the moment that we do that is the moment that we lose what we have worked so hard to build. That's all I'm saying. That's all Kayson is saying. And that's why we have just lost Pikamee. That's why we lost Rushia last year. It's because for, you know, 2 seconds, the real world bled in to that fantasy world that we had, that Hololive had spent 2.5 years building. For 2 seconds, that notification popped up, and the real world bled in, and then it all came crashing down. Same thing happened this year with Twitter. The only difference was, you know, Pikamee put out, hey, I'm going to play this game. And it all came crashing down. Now, there is a scenario. Okay? And Pikamee did touch on it in her stream. But she did not state when she exactly went there. But she did state that after she went on hiatus, she did not state if it was in January or if it was after the Hogwarts incident. that she mostly spent time with her family. Okay? That could have been either situation. Now, there is the possibility that she had spent so much time away from home that perhaps that she went there and said, you know what, I kind of want to spend more time with my family, or more time back where, I kind of feel like it's more cozy or more home. I'm homesick, She mentioned that she hasn't seen her father in a long time. Her father lives in the States and she's in Japan. And he, it takes a long time and she don't get to see him a lot, that kind of thing. Maybe she wants to go stay with him for a while or something like that. Who knows, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on, especially with COVID. With COVID, it's it's been difficult to travel, and restrictions and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, has transpired over the last few years. And, she did state, though, that, she had spent time with her family. There is that possibility. All right. And then she could have come back and said, you know what? I kind of want to spend time with my family. Streaming's pulling, I have to spend a lot of time streaming. Kind of want to spend time with my family. And Vom said, we need you back. And they said, you know what? We can't give you, 2-3 months off to spend time with your family. So she said, okay, that's it. That could be a possibility. But we don't know. We don't know the situations behind the facts. Okay? And again, the operating head of VOMS himself said that his answers are sketchy and loose and evasive. And he said he doesn't mean to be. However, the loose interpretation of what he said was that supposedly there were talks about it for a while. However, that is counter to everything that his agency and himself in the press releases and all the statements that have been said before and after what he came out and said have been presented and said and stated. They all contradict that. So the truth of the matter is we don't actually know when decisions were made, other than the fact that the statement was made that it was sudden, that they had to clear the graduation notice with the event contractors and people involved with the pop-up event, and made sure that they got their blessing with them before they could go ahead with it. That is the truth. And that is the only truth that you can run with as pure, unadulterated fact. Everything else is speculation beyond that. And it's speculation by people using interpretations and implying that it is truth because they are spinning it as probabilities of fact. And the bottom line is, as Kason has pointed out, this kind of thing does not belong in our world, period. We are here to create worlds for our listeners to be enveloped in with us and go on adventures with them, share experiences with them, and have fun, cry, laugh, and share those types of memories with them. And when we talk about our own experiences, we are sharing those experiences with you because we want you to understand us as people. Those may be our real life experiences. However, those real life experiences are part of who we are. And those help build our lore and mythos. So you understand the main character that is guiding you in this world. And that is a difference between us guiding you and us explaining the character that you're looking at, and us pushing an agenda and telling you you must believe in it. Remember that. Because the moment that we or anybody tells you you must be pro or anti this, we're telling you what to believe in real life. Ultimately, that is your choice. You can choose to walk out of my stream right now, or you can choose to stay. Just like I never have ever pressured anybody to donate to me or to give me money. I have never done that. But you'll see streamers all the time telling you, you know what, especially on Twitch, you'll see streamers all the time telling you, you have that option to use your free Prime, and if you use your free Prime, if you don't use your free Prime, you are wasting your own money. You could be using that on me because that gives them money, I mean, hell, I've had a donation link on my channel for well over a year now. I have made a net profit of $3 off that link, and I don't actively promote. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I made a net profit last year of $3 off that link, but I made a net profit in my lifetime since I've been doing this of negative 200 something since I've done my channel. I don't care, because I do this because I want to do this. I do this channel just as much for me as I do it for the people that listen. And if nobody listens, I do it for me. That's all it is to it. And if I get monetized one day, I get monetized one day. And that still doesn't matter, because I do it because I want to. And that's what matters. Because I want to build a world for me and for anyone else that wants to come along with me. And when we talk about this stuff, it's important because it's important to me to be able to make sure that the truth gets out there and people don't spread that misinformation. Because people like Pikamee are important. People like Kason are important. People like Coco were important. People like Rushia were important. Important in our world. And that truth, no matter how much it hurts to hear, needs to be told. Beavers! My friend! I haven't seen you in months, it feels like. Welcome to the channel. Welcome. Hey guys, I'm Marko. It's been a while. Yeah, no matter what, and always onto the couple candidate BS, but then again, all we can do is give support and love to. Yes, above all else, and you will always hear me state this. Love the talent, not the agency. Love the talent. You will always see me support and love the talent before the agency. You'll never see me swear allegiance to an agency. It's always the talent. I love Roboco. I don't love Hololive. I love Mel too. Roboco and Mel. I love both of them with a passion. But you won't see me swear allegiance to Hololive. I recently I've really gotten attached to Pikamee and Sawa from Kawaii Productions. They're both really, really, really fun people to watch. And I really enjoy listening and watching them and interacting with them too. But you'll never see me swear allegiance to Kawaii. I mean, that's just the way it is. I will support them as content creators and individuals. That's just the way it is. You'll see me support several small VTubers that, some of them don't even have 1,000 followers yet or subscribers. I will support them and be there for them and cheer them on, because I believe in what they're doing. And if they sign on to a talent agency, great. Congratulations. But I will not support or suddenly become a corporate or a talent cheerleader. I will support them, not their agency. That's just the way it is. Because the person is important, and you have to believe in the person. And when they stop believing in themselves, you gotta find out why. And if it's because they don't want to do the thing anymore, and they decide they want to move on, well, you give them your well wishes. You tell them you don't want them to leave, and if that's where their heart's set and they want to move on to something else, you express your feelings for them until their last day. And then you carry what they represented to you in your heart, and they live on within you, and you carry that on in your life. That's how they live on. If you let that die, then they die. And that doesn't mean you cling on to them. It doesn't mean that you cling on to them and 10 years from now, Risha is still my one and only, or Pikamee, it will always be my waifu. I'm never gonna love anyone else, or no. However, you take what was the best parts of why you enjoyed them, and then you carry that on, and then you express that to whoever or whatever you're doing, or whoever you're watching, and you apply that to it. Hell, Akira and Makido from Go Nippon, that's what they taught me. To take that love and passion that I had for them, and find other VTubers and streamers and apply that passion to them. And that's why I support Pikamee and Sawa. Because that's exactly what the two people I was looking for to be able to do that. I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful for that lesson that they taught me. It doesn't mean I've forgotten about them. It means that I love them just as much, because it was exactly what they told their audience on their last day. And there's people that we love with a passion, and I don't think that will ever change. And it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I'm not saying that we should have that what do they call it, that parasocial type of love where it becomes detrimental towards our mental well-being. because I do believe that on a streamer level, people like Pikamee, Kason, Coco, Rushia, everyone, every streamer on some level, they do love their audience, and they do love every single person that loves them. We love the people that love us. That does not change. That is not something that is fake. The only time that's fake is if they are purely using being a VTuber as something to make profit off of. And there are several people who do that, who manipulate their audience purely for money. They know the triggers of, if I act this particular way and say these certain things, then that will trigger my audience to spend on me. There are women that do that. There are men that do that. And more often than not, there are women that go into VTubing just to do that, and they make a lot of money off of it, unfortunately. But that being said, most people who get into VTubing who end up graduating, they do love their regulars, and they do love their audience, and they will always carry on with them the people that love them, especially the ones that leave an impression on them and that are regulars or members of their channel. And Pikamee is not going to be any different. She will remember the people that are regulars of hers, the people that send her well wishes, the ones that send her messages, do signing boards. She'll read every message. I'm sure she'll cry at every single thing that she reads. And she's tried to read every tweet and every message and every mellow and everything else that's been sent to her. And that's not going to change. And I'm sure she, whatever she does or goes into after this, even if she goes on hiatus for a little bit and then comes back as a different character or a different personality, she's going to be looking for those same people. And if those same people recognize her voice, they're immediately going to recognize each other, and they are going to know. And that's, that recognition is one of the best feelings in the world. Kason herself, when she went from Coco to Kason, she recognized so many of her audience when she immediately, went back to her old personality, especially on YouTube. And then, when she started streaming on full time on Twitch and YouTube, and people started, joining on both platforms, she immediately started recognizing those same personalities on both, and started being able to recognize that instant trust between those accounts, because she knew who they were. And that's the greatest feeling in the world, to be able to make that instant connection, because that person was somebody who was always there for you. Pikamee's no different. Hell, Pikamee, somebody who's been bullied their entire life, who was bullied as a kid, has the worst problem with trust. I know this. Okay? I know this. And this is one of those instances where real life does blur with fantasy, okay? Because Pikamee, the alien, the little girl alien, Pikamee, this little girl right here, the one that's holding the gun to us right now, this little girl was bullied as a kid. And people look at her as a VTuber, and they look at her, and they're like, "This is a VTuber? This doesn't look like Gura. This doesn't look like Mori. This doesn't look like Marin. This doesn't look like Fubuki. This doesn't look like Hololive. Why should I pay attention or get into this? You know? And so they automatically turn her off. And then, like, well, maybe she's not so bad, right? So then they listen to her talk. And they're like, this is different. It's kind of cute, but it's kind of not. I don't know if I can listen to this, right? So, they turn her off, and then they automatically go back to, are there cute clips of this? The clips of her don't exactly match up to Guru clips, at least Guru clips are kind of cringe but kind of cute. Maybe I'll just go back to Guru since they're like that, right? So they automatically turn her off, right? But then you go in, and then people know that from her real life, especially if they hear stories of her, before she came to us as an alien, she was bullied. And if you had never been bullied before, living a life as being bullied is horrible. And let me people don't like to hear this. People don't. And that's the part that of why I talk about this. Because if you don't like hearing about it, imagine living it. Imagine getting on, if you've never, have you ever ridden on a school bus? Imagine, I'm sure some of you have, right? Maybe most of you, at least some of you have. Imagine getting on a school bus, right? You get on a school bus, you look around, you're trying to find a seat. No, there's plenty of seats, but there's a kid in each seat, but there's a spot right next to him. And every time you try to sit down, they don't let you sit next to him. And finally, one kid lets you sit next to him. And when you sit down, the kid right behind you, who is like twice your size, starts popping you on the back of the head. And you're in 3rd grade, that kid's in 5th grade. He starts popping you on the back of the head. And you start realizing why that kid next to you let you sit down. And it's because he's friends with the kid in the back seat. And then pretty soon, the kid next to you holds you down. And the kid in the back seat starts punching you. And for 10 minutes straight, you're beat up. And it took 10 minutes to get to school, right? And you go your entire day of school, and the entire day of school, the rumor goes around that the kid on the school bus beat you up. He's targeted you. So every single kid in your class doesn't go anywhere near you because they're afraid. They're afraid that if they're friends with you, they start talking to you, they're gonna get targeted next. So you get back on the school bus. You try to sit in a different seat, but no kid will let you sit next to them. So you have to go sit in that back seat. And for 10 minutes straight, you get beat up again. And when you get home, your parents are too busy dealing with your sister, who's getting herself in trouble, to listen to you. Right? So that's one day. Now imagine almost every single day like that. That was 3rd grade. Now imagine every single day of 3rd grade like that. And then every single day of 4th grade. Every single day of 5th grade. Single day of 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. Every single day of school like that. That was my life. And by the time I was big enough and old enough to be able to fight back, that kid luckily had graduated from just beating up other kids to armed robbery and got thrown in jail. But by that time, I had been mentally conditioned to just take it. Even though I was probably on par at his size. Maybe could have fought back and won. But I was mentally conditioned to take it because I didn't think I could win. And it was all, the only thing I could think of was because I was different. I was like, I'm like her. I'm like Pikamee. I'm mixed. I'm not full Japanese. I'm Japanese American. So I'm treated differently. And of course, I was Japanese American and I lived in a predominantly Hispanic / black neighborhood. So that made it even worse. So I can relate to being treated differently my entire life. People couldn't figure out if I was a gringo or if I was Chinese. And I was like, I'm neither. I'm not Chinese or white. I'm Japanese. And they're like, oh, well, close enough. I'm like, no, it's not. It's different. And of course, they're being racist because they're like, oh, it's close enough. I'm like, oh, it's a different country. Don't you know your geography? And of course, they beat me up for being smart. So yeah, I can relate to her. But imagine being treated differently. That's Pikamee's life. But she suffered through it all, and she fought for it all. Yeah, and she made things work, and she got to where she was now, despite being treated differently. And she was successful, despite being treated differently. And people acting like, she was lower than dirt. And she is not going to be remembered as somebody who is a failure. And based upon the love that she has been given up to this point, she is not going to be remembered as somebody who is quitting and a failure. And she's going to be able to walk away from this as somebody who has been extremely successful in what she has done. But the important thing that we have to remember is that we have to send her off with love and support. And if she does pop up again somewhere down the line as something different in a different body, that we need to give her that same love and appreciation that she's always had. And in my opinion, she has earned. And she's worked extremely hard for. And she's probably even earned the level of support that she has. And the level of support that she should get when she comes back. I always say that if a VTuber graduates and then comes back in a different form, she didn't quit. She didn't give up. We don't die. VTubers don't die. We evolve. And when we come back in our second form, we come back evolved and even stronger. Keisan's a great example. Miki and Nico is a great example. Nazuna is even a greater example. We come back and we evolve and we come back stronger. There's a special place in hell for those VTubers who have done wrong. And those few and far between VTubers do exist, and they do occupy that little special place in hell. But they are few and far between. Pikamee is not one of those. And she has, this graduation is not premeditated. And in my opinion, regardless if it was quote unquote planned in January or planned in advance, whenever it was supposedly planned, the fact is the girl was bullied, cyberbullied, and you cannot ignore that fact. And if you ignore that fact by focusing on whenever her graduation was quote unquote planned in advance, then you negate the fact that hate happened. And you brought real life into our cyber world. And you do every VTuber, especially you translators out there, you do every VTuber an injustice by skipping over that fact. This isn't even our final form. Yeah, you know what? And Pikamee's power level is over 9,000. So, you know what? Pikamee's going to do just fine. And, I don't like doing this. Actually, I kind of do, but I kind of don't. But I'm going to do this anyways. Just to prove a point. I just want to prove a point. Okay? I'm doing this just to prove a point. So any of y'all bitches out there that think that you are like actually doing something productive by running Pikamee off because of this, let me all just explain something to you right now. You made this girl $9,000 in super chats for 1 hour of work of just talking about her, just talking. And like, how long was your video, Pikamee? You made the girl $9,000 in super chats for 1 hour of talking, and she gained like I don't know how many subscribers yesterday. How many did you gain, my girl? Yeah, she gained at least 18,000 subscribers in less than 24 hours. And I would venture to guess that she probably gained I don't know, at least half of those are members now because of people giving her gift memberships. So yeah, between now and the end of the month, I think she's gonna do just fine. Considering that you think that you have like actually done something productive with your lives, she's probably gonna be able to take a nice long vacation, and probably be able to live off the investment that you guys just gave her, So, I mean, you caused her maybe a couple of days of crying and grief. And you know what? Maybe if this was planned in advance, you just helped give her an advance on whatever she plans to do next. So, good for you. You know what? If this was planned in advance, and this was the plan all along since January, you know what? You guys have made sure she was going to have enough money to do whatever she's going to have to do next, or whatever she wants to do next. So good on you. You know, but the whole conspiracy theory that, you know, that she planned it in January, knowing that Hogwarts was going to be controversial, so they planned on doing Hogwarts so she can stir the controversy, so she could get the hate train going, so she could get the additional support, so she could retire, and then she could get the super chats and get the money from graduating, because, you know, that way they can maximize the profits. You know, that whole conspiracy theory, no, it don't fly. I'm sorry. It just does not fly. It really doesn't. It doesn't. I've seen so many conspiracy theories. You know, and people like, you know, people on Twitter are like literally like writing like VTuber pastas now about what they think is what they think happened with, you know, how the whole thing went down with Pikamee's like retirement, based solely on fan translations and the press release, and they're spinning these like wild theories of like what they think happened behind the scenes from January up till now, and it blows my mind when I read them. You know? So yeah, you guys don't believe that stuff. I mean, read it for what it is, and take what is actually being said. You know, take the facts. Take the facts. Do not take the implied facts that these translators or these people who are trying to pass off things as facts are really doing. I mean, one of the easiest things to do, guys, is, I mean, even like with, can you do it with Kaisans yet? Yeah, like, even like with Kaisan, I mean, a lot of these videos now, I mean, you could even click it and get the script. And yeah, I know even the horribly translated translated scripts from let me drag this over a little bit. Even the horribly translated scripts from YouTube are still worth something, because if you take the scripts here, and actually let's go back to if you go back to this video here, and you load the actual transcript from his talk and his statement here, all you gotta do is copy it, right? All you gotta do is copy it, and you can take it, copy, and all you gotta do is download DeepL, and it's really, you know, you can download it for free. DeepL, run DeepL, and you can paste the transcript straight into DeepL. Yeah, and yeah, DeepL is machine translated, so you're not going to get, exact, perfect translation, especially like if they have accents. But you can actually take what is being said, and then you can compare what is being said to what the translator is putting on screen. All right? And then you can actually monitor and see whether or not that translator is doing any heavy deviation from what the machine translation is saying versus what they are saying that the the translation should be. And if there's heavy deviation from it, then you can call that into question. You can call that into question by seeing if other translators are doing the same thing, or if they're saying the same thing. There's plenty of other ways of doing it. With DeepL, there's a lot of different ways of being able to look at specific sentences to see whether or not those specific sentences have other translations based upon the nuances of what the actual words are within those sentences. Again, machine translation is not 100% correct. However, DeepL is one of the better tools out there. This is one of the best ways you can ensure what you are hearing and what you are being told is it is a way for you to verify what you are being told is either correct or the most correct interpretation of the information that is out there for you to ingest, so you can make a proper decision of the facts that you are being handed. Because if you just rely solely on people who say, I'm credible, you better believe me, and this is exactly what they say, and then you walk with it and you pass it on, and you don't bother to even look to see whether or not they are saying is true, and then you repeat it, and then that person repeats it and shares it, and now you have 2 people, then 4, then 8. That's how misinformation gets spread. And no one bothers to see whether or not this actually is correct. And then you have other people come along and say, wait a minute, if this is correct, then how come all these other things contradict it? And then that one person gets called, like me, everyone calls me, you just can't accept it. I'm like, no. I have 10 other valid points out there that all contradict your one. But I'm the conspiracy theorist out there? No. The mere fact that the actual owner and operator and founder of VOMs has to go out there and say, in order to protect his clients, his talent from any additional controversy, to shield them and try to move the topic along by saying anything in order to say, okay, yeah, you know what, this has all been handled behind the scenes. Let's move the topic along so we can put this behind us. That's exactly what he did. All right. But then you have translators and people out there who take what he said and then they try to blow it out proportion for views, clicks, likes, and retweets and say, it was a conspiracy! She planned it all along! No. No. It wasn't. And then you have them the next day. She told Palmu a long time ago. She told her somebody who looks at her like her Oshi a long time ago. So you're telling me that she told somebody who's not affiliated with her company information that is a breach of her NDA. A long time ago, she broke her NDA. But yeah. Okay. But all of her other professional friends, she didn't tell any of her other professional friends, but she told somebody who fans her a long time ago. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, perfect sense. I'm surprised none of her other VTuber friends have come out and said the same thing. None of her other VTuber friends have said that too. I'm surprised. You would think by now her other VTuber friends that are, work with her in the same industry would have said, yeah, she also told me a while ago that she was going to, retire and graduate. But no, it was only that one VTuber that looks at her as her Oshi. That didn't even know her well enough, and somebody had to buy Pikamee's merch for her. Yeah, that one VTuber she knew a long time ago. Okay. I'll trust that. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They'll spend that now that she says she's quitting and not graduating. Yeah, exactly. That'll be the next thing, And don't forget that, folks. She said it herself. She's quitting. She's not graduating. After the 31st, she's quit. She hasn't graduated. God, come on, guys. Give it a break. Don't forget that spin. Yeah. There's not enough spin out there, guys. I mean, honestly, the who keeps messaging me? Gosh, can't they see I'm streaming? I don't even know where my phone went. So I mean, like, if I wanted to hit home like the key points here, the main. If I wanted to hit home the key main points here, it would be this, all right? Yes, Pikamee's graduating. The announcement was made. Yes, there's contradictory information out there. Live with it. It's contradictory. One contradicts the other. Statements do not match. Live with it. There is not one statement that trumps the other. The fact that you have the owner and founder out there stating one thing when his very own company statements state something different that contradicts his own statement does not make one trump the other. They contradict. That means that one day they said, this is the truth. And then they said, no, wait, the next day, this is the truth. Which means that they had one way of looking at how they want things to go, and then the next day, they wanted things to look a different way. That's how it works. It's called PR, public relations. We want the public to look at the situation like this. That's how PR works. That's reality. That's what it is. That's what they are selling you. Okay? Now, I'm not telling you what the real story is. I am telling you what the real story is being sold as. Okay? I don't know the scoop behind the story. People are trying to tell you what the scoop is behind the story. You do not know, the people who are trying to sell you the scoop behind the story do not know the actual information behind the story. Remember that. When you talk to other people in chats, in other chats, on Twitter, when you see posts on social media, these people do not know the actual story behind what is being sold in the PR statements. They are taking what is being said and they are inferring. That is what they are doing. And the only thing they are trying to do with that is they are trying to stir up as much attention for themselves as possible in order to get popular off of that, in hopes that they can attract your attention and put enough spin on that in order to get your attention. So hopefully they can hook you just enough to make you come back to them. Because maybe if they spin it just enough and they give you just enough a little morsel, you'll pay attention to them and you'll subscribe to them, or you'll like them, or you'll retweet them, or you'll do something and give them that little bit of, something, so, that they'll feel a little bit more popular. That's all it is. That's all it is. All right? Remember that. Okay? The next point. Pikamee was cyberbullied. She was cyberbullied because of the wizard game of Hogwarts. And I will use the name. She was bullied because of Hogwarts Legacy. I said the name! I said the thing! Oh my gosh, I am so screwed now, my channel. Oh no, I said Hogwarts. I said it again. I said the wizard game's name. I am so screwed, I'm canceled. Yes, she was canceled because of Hogwarts. Oh, people don't like me saying that? Why didn't she play Hogwarts on her channel? Anybody? Please, does anybody have an answer to why she didn't play Hogwarts? The Hogwarts Legacy. Does anybody know what the game Hogwarts Legacy is? Does anybody know why Pikamee didn't play Hogwarts Legacy on her channel? Oh, right, because she was cyberbullied on social media and threatened because she wanted to play the game. Does that equate to being canceled? Yes, she was canceled. Live with it. Pikamee was canceled because she dared to want to play Hogwarts. Was that her final decision to quit being a VTuber? That's the $1 million question. We do not know definitively if that put her over the edge. Shut the fuck up! Call him on your damn cell phone. Stop honking. Sorry. I live in a ghetto neighborhood. Yeah, Spoolie can definitely speed up the graduation thing. Definitely, especially if you feel like your entire community has turned on you. So that's definitely a valid response to things. So, yeah, that's definitely a valid response. Oops, almost knocked over my phone. So, yeah, she was cyberbullied. Bottom line, where's my music? Oh, I forgot to put the thing on replay. Sorry about that. I am so sorry about that. Get some music back on. So, and then I think finally the biggest one of the biggest things as well. Adrian, thank you for adding something else. Oh, and by the way, Black Rabbit, yours just Alvin, I haven't seen you. By the way, I haven't seen you in a while either. Thank you for dropping back in. My friend, hey, there's my phone. Yo, I think that so in regards to there's a I think with her graduation, we will see over the next month, okay, that there will be enough evidence over the next month to be able to at least put together a definitive theory of whether or not graduation as a whole was planned. Okay, and what I mean by that is this: when you look at her remaining time on her channel, you'll be able to determine that a lot by how many and where her how her collabs go. Okay, if she has a lot of collabs, and and she did say she does hopefully is going to have some. Who she has those collabs with, whether or not they're with other agents from other agencies, and particularly the interaction between those particular talents, okay, and listening to their conversation and interaction will be vitally important. The interaction will definitely tell whether or not those collaborations were last minute or whether or not they were planned in advance. A lot of times when someone suddenly decides to graduate, you'll hear, oh, this was a last minute thing. I managed to get you into my schedule. I had a lot of things planned, and this was the only day that I was able to fit you in. Or if it was planned in advance, they'll talk about how they were able to finally be able to do it after so long, and how long it took for them to organize being able to get together for that day. There will be a lot of banter back and forth, and they they'll do a lot of kind of chit chat, in order to fill dead space, dead air between whatever they're doing. So look for that, and you'll be able to tell based upon who she collabs with and that chit chat between them. And those tells there will let you know in this last month just how spur of the moment this graduation really was. Like for right now, she said at the end of her chat today that she did not have a definitive schedule planned out for this month. Okay, and but as she filled out for the rest of the month, that she would put up rooms for whatever comes up. So that right away for me was kind of a flag of, okay, well, if she had collabs put together, she may be holding off on who and what they are until either like that week or a day before or a couple days before to keep them a surprise. But there's also the possibility that a lot of those collabs are, any collabs that they did have planned in advance may have only been ones that don't attract a lot of attention, so they didn't feel like they're worth putting up in advance. So, they're hoping to get some more high-profile names, together before they put things up. I'm sure they're trying to like maybe try to fit like Keisan or some of the Visojo girls together. I'm sure like they would love probably to get somebody from a couple from like Niji or even Hololive if that's even possible. Because I know she's interacted with a couple of Hololive members before. I'm sure they would love to be able to get one of them in her final month. She's interacted with plenty of people from all over, so there's absolutely, I'm sure there's lots of feelers that are going out there, and if they haven't already been planned, in advance, then they're probably trying to hustle right now, just trying to find dates and times for it. So, it's one of those kind of wait and see type of things, and we'll definitely have to look at those collabs and, put them under the microscope, so to speak, and listen to everything that's being said and look at the time frames of when those things happen. Because also time frames are important. If they happen at a certain time and it's like 2 a.m. for a certain person that happens to live in Austria, but it's the only convenient time for Pikamee that is in Japan, then and so the person in Austria schedules it for 2 a.m. so she can do that last collab with her. That in itself is kind of like, okay, one does not usually schedule a 2 a.m. collab with somebody several months in advance, unless that's literally the only time that's available for them, so you have to kind of look at those kind of things. So Black Rabbit, nobody has taken into account that in Japan an employee registration law is about to be implemented, which would literally dox at... Yes, thank you, Black Rabbit. Thank you so much for bringing that up. That is another great point that people are literally freaking out about. There is a little known law that's about to be going into effect over in Japan that is affecting literally every VTuber out there that will so there's a registration law that is going into effect in Japan that requires all VTubers, because they have to pay, I think it's a tax law that requires all VTubers to have their real names associated with their VTuber names in their organizational information, and it will be like public record, so literally anybody could be doxxed, since it could be publicly searched. So like you could find out who literally anybody who is registered as a VTuber is in Japan. and find out their real name, their real the real identity, where they live, where they've registered their address, their business telephone number if they've registered under their home number, so on and so forth. So a lot of them have been trying to go, literally going out of their way to make shell addresses and shell names and all this other stuff, and transfer of their businesses to other names, so it will shield them and have like a middleman for themselves, so they can protect themselves in some way. And they have been trying to fight the law, but yeah, it's a pretty scary time for a lot of them, because they're about to be unmasked, literally, and they're going to be losing a big chunk of their anonymity because of this law, which they just gained a law that helped protect them against online slander, and now they're having a law implemented that basically unmasks them, which exposes them to even more danger just after they gained a law that is supposed to protect them. It makes no sense. It really doesn't. It makes no sense. She was actually bullied by those kind of people before because she likes little anime girls. Ironic, because JK hangs out with people who call trans people predators by definition. Yeah, people. It's a sad turn of events, because if you like so. I mean, people trash the otaku culture so much because of specific interests. Whether people are into hell. I mean, if you look at the people that play Final Fantasy 14, for example, there's an entire culture of people. Let's just take the furry culture, for example, within the otaku culture. They embrace Final Fantasy 14 because they can actually roleplay as furries in the game. I mean, there's an entire server that is there's several servers, but there's a data center that caters to people that roleplay, and there's an entire server that caters to people like that who roleplay as furries, and they embrace it. And people at one time, there was literally a hate group that raided that server after people were able to go between servers and between data centers just to hate on them. And it's really, come on. I mean, you have nothing better to do with your time than to go hate on furries on their server just because they're into furries. I mean, come on. You have nothing better to do. I mean, it's really pathetic. I mean, if you have that much time to go hate on furries, go touch grass. Go talk to another human being, or go put up a sign and say you're gonna wash cars. Do something productive with life. Go pick up trash. Instead of being trash. I mean, go talk to an old person. Let them talk to you about the good old days. I mean, at least then you're doing something productive. There are things you could be doing with your life other than trashing other people online just to try to make yourself feel better. I mean, literally. I mean, you could go clean up a graveyard. At least then you're doing something for somebody, rather than putting people down, trying to make yourself feel better. The law is ridiculous. The law is ridiculous. I have it. I had it favorited somewhere, and I'm not quite sure I'm not quite sure where. Okay, don't mess up. Let's see here. New Japanese law VTuber. Yeah, here it is. Alright, so this article was it was actually published September of last year. Japan plans to introduce a new filing system for invoices October 2023. Consequently, it would force mangakas, VTubers, illustrators, and many more artists who work anonymously to reveal their identities. The true identities will be stored in a database accessible to the general public. As a result, this change creates fear among many mangakas, since some prefer to remain hidden even after massive fame. The issue that is that they have no choice but to go with it, as the invoices can only be verified using the real name. The Japan's Ministry of Finance is barely giving details on this new system, causing further creating a sense of fear in famous hidden figures. In addition, the ministry is not interested in improving or making countermeasures for public access to this system, saying that they do not consider listing someone's real name as, quote, highly risky personal information, unquote. The individual's name is chosen instead of their contact number, address, as a point of identification. The database will soon be open for to commercial use, as the Ministry of Finance stated that the true purpose of this is to make it efficient for companies to deal with a bulk of invoices with several clients, since dealing with one invoice at a time is counterproductive. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, and it's so easy to literally take somebody's real name and then dox them with it. I mean, there are literally I mean, like, their Ministry of Finance has no idea how easy it is. In short, the new quote qualified invoice system, unquote, will simplify for Japan's tax authority to gather data regarding how businesses are paying their contractors, including VTubers, mangaka who work under a company. So if it's going to simplify for the tax authorities how to gather data on how they're doing businesses solely by using their name, doesn't that mean that by simply using their name, it will be easy to gather information, their private information, solely by using their name in a public system, based upon their real name and who they're working with? I mean, come on. It's so easy. You know, I mean, you basically take, okay, so let's see. You have Cover Core. And then, okay, so who's the contractors that work with Cover Core? Okay, since VTubers are considered contractors, let's see here. Cover Core and their subsidiary is Hololive, so you have Hololive Productions. Okay, so and then you have the contractors that work with Hololive Productions. Okay, well, there's only 353 considered employees for that. And since X amount are full employees, you can you can subtract those, which means since VTubers are considered contractors, they're not part of full-time employees, so they're contractors. So you can take the remaining names there, and then you can subtract the amount of people that. Oh, okay. So that means you can take these names, and then you can apply them to real faces based upon public images, and then you can actually dox them based upon that, and then you can apply real names with faces and images, and then you can do facial recognition based upon images to build a profile based upon images that are posted online. And oh, I've built a profile, because that's exactly how people build profiles on people when they do these websites that reveal the people behind a VTuber that work for a major company. That's literally how it works. I mean, literally, you take a singular name that is dropped by a source, and then you're able to backtrace it into like Facebook, Google, Twitter, Google Plus, whatever social media. And then you're able to take that and then go into the Internet Archives, pull any type of images from that, and then you can literally image search those pictures and then trace those back to other social media profiles, gather names and gather relationship information, including location information, and literally build a profile based upon that information. I mean, I've done it. So it's easy. I've done it to see how far back I can trace myself on the internet. It's easy. I've done it to trace back other people that I have not talked to in high school, to find out where they are now. It's easy. Yeah, it's a bad law. It's a very bad law. You should at least be able to file your, if anything, if you are a contractor that works for a company like this, you should at least be able to file your invoices based upon your name of like me, for example. Okay, I mean, anything that comes in to me is filed under Yamashita Productions. That's it. Yamashita Productions. That's how it should be filed. All my invoices, Yamashita Productions. Oh, you want my full name? Okay, Marko Yamashita Productions. What? That's it. Marko Yamashita Productions. What else do you want? Oh, you want a physical address? Okay, here's my P.O. box. That's it. That's the invoice. I mean, it's simple. Oh, you want it for tax purposes? Okay. Well, I do have a business tax ID. Here's my business tax ID. Why do you need my real name? The business tax ID is tied to my business name, the name of my business, with my ID that you have given me. You don't need my real name that's tied to my business, to my business, when I have a business tax ID that you have legally given me, to be able to file this. You don't need that. You have an ID and you have my business name. Use that. It's easier to utilize a number for a system than it is to use a name. Because that's how computers work. They work with numbers. Computers don't work by names. Computers, when you're doing a filing system, computers work with numbers instead of letters. Even when you can do more. You can do more with yes, you can do more with hexadecimal. But even with hexadecimal, you're doing is mixing, a few letters with numbers in order to expand the logic system. But by and large, even then, when you put in hexadecimal, computers still take that and then translate it back into binary. So it still goes back down to ones and zeros. So you are not doing anything other than expanding the logic system. It still translates back down to ones and zeros. You are not doing anything productive other than making it worse. Yes, laws are meant to protect the public, not expose the public. I mean, come on. Laws, laws are there to govern and to protect, not to expose and give people more abilities to exploit you. It makes no sense. But that's what they have to deal with. So you have a valid point there too. Maybe she's ducking out at the right time where she doesn't want her info out there once this goes into effect. Because this let's see here. This was the top. Let's see. This was the top search result from September 29th, September 23rd, let's see here, 12 hours ago, September, October, let's see here. Hang on. Let's go back here for a second. Ministry of Finance. Okay, so let's look at Ministry of Finance. New law VTuber Ministry of Finance. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything new has come about that since September. So, yeah, I mean that's very possible. That's extremely possible. Oh, this one's from 4 days ago. Hang on. Let's see. So voice succinctly explains the issues and concepts of the invoice system while also disseminating the underlying problems. When the videos were released, some voice actors were in there. Thinks that this initiative is not only damaging to the health of the voice actors, but also small businesses of all professions. So they explained the invoice system. Essentially, all businesses in Japan will have to have their invoices for payments verified if they use their real name, something that many members of the creative industry weren't fans of, mostly writers, artists, music artists. So this affects writers, artists, music artists, performers, idols, VTubers, and much more who use pseudonyms. On top of this, from them on, whether sole proprietorship or freelancer would then be subjected to consumption tax, something they were previously exempted from. So they would additionally be taxed a consumption tax, which takes an additional chunk out of what they already earn. So if you're not already aware of this, so of course with YouTube, they take a chunk out of every super chat and membership fee that you pay. And then they take a chunk out of that off the top, and then on top of that, then you have whatever your agency takes out for they take their slice out of it, including that includes whether or not your manager or agent also takes a chunk out of that. So you have your agency, and then your manager or agent, and then you also have to pay an income tax off of that on top of that. So you may, if you live in Japan, you typically get less than half of whatever is super chatted to you. I would say probably anywhere from 30 to 50%. I would guesstimate, depending on whatever it is. And then I'm not sure what the current consumption tax is over in Japan, but I know that they were talking about raising that. But there's also a consumption tax rate, or a consumption tax, that they are looking at implementing or raising or something like that in Japan because of the existing stagnation of their economy, and looking for ways to pay for everything else that they have going on over there. So yeah, that's not good. And it looks like, at least from this, it looks like all these people in this industry were tax exempt from it, which probably made it a good reason why so many people in Japan were trying to break into that industry, was because they didn't have to pay a consumption tax, and as a result it was almost like a tax break. The system was originally proposed by the Ministry of Finance to make it easier for large companies to deal with large number of clients by using real names of those involved rather than individual identification. And this was also done to crack down on tax evasion. Yeah, and I suppose they were also looking to crack down on those who were trying to avoid the consumption tax. The two issues that may have is lack of privacy and the consumption tax. It's been well known that in the manga and anime industry, voice actors and actresses and artists are not backed by huge companies and do not make lots of money for their jobs, hence why they take on many contracts at once. In a survey from September to October, 76 of voice actors reported incomes of less than $21,000 US dollars, and 27% expressed concern that they will go bankrupt as part of this new invoice system, which I would probably guess to agree because of the consumption tax. Detractors of the system claim that many artists and small businesses are exempt from consumption tax as part of their businesses, and to have to pay that on top of making a small wage will cripple their livelihood, which I completely understand. The consumption tax here is, they are exempt from the consumption tax. And what is the consumption tax? What is the consumption tax in Japan? So the sales rate in Japan is expected to reach 10% by the end of 2013, according to the Trade Economics Growth Model. So that's the sales rate. So what is the consumption tax in Japan English? So consumption tax is a national tax levied against the volume of business. Consumption tax has been raised to 10%. So they're adding an additional 10% of taxes in addition to what they have to pay. So they're adding 10%, a 10% tax on top of their current tax rate. So imagine, so for every $100 that they make, so essentially they would lose approximately $216 out of their paycheck every year. Additional 216 tax. That's screwed up, man. I mean, could you imagine having your taxes go up by 10%? And you don't get a raise. I mean, you're not getting a raise. You're not getting an extra income. There's no raise or cost of living increase, but your taxes are still going to go up by 10%. All because of this. And you have to report your new name or your real name and worry about people doxing you. And this is especially screwed up for people who maybe draw provocative work, because they use pseudonyms in order to protect their real names, and a lot of them are women. And so they have to worry about, well, if I'm going to continue to draw provocative work, am I going to get sexually harassed? I mean, that's how they make their livelihood. So, to go back to the original point, though, I think, if Pikamee is also looking at this from that aspect, it's very possible she's looking at this and saying, I don't want any part of it. I want to go back to, I want to protect myself from any kind of harassment, any further than this. And she saw the writing on the wall with what happened with Hogwarts and said, okay, enough's enough. I'm not going to, if this happens to me now, I'm, once this new law goes in effect, it's going to be even worse. I'm already getting bullied by not even being full-blooded Japanese. I've had enough, and leaves. So, I mean, that's completely possible too. So, that's possible. That's very possible. So, good point. So, I think we've covered everything I wanted to cover here, according to my notes. So, it's been a very good stream. I think we've covered everything in its complete form. I know I've hit on a lot of things. There were a lot of individual there were a lot of individual tweets and comments that I was gonna use as examples, but the more I started talking, the more I started feeling like, you know what, if I single these people out specifically, it's gonna feel a little too personal when I should just talk about the topic generally. So I decided not to actually call them out by name. Sometimes I actually do that because they a certain person or people piss me off. and some of you regulars remember that kind of talk. And, if I take something personal, I will do that. And I will call them to a public forum so I can talk to them about it or give them a space to make their case. But in this case, since at least 24 hours has gone by, I was like, you know what, there's no sense trying to throw punches when I've already walked away from that conversation. So rather than that, I wanted to make a point at least about this specific translator, since she has tried to make the biggest stink about this. But I hope people found this at least informative, or at least found my argument compelling enough to think about it. I will continue to follow Pikamee as far as I can on this topic. And if she provides a compelling enough case to sway things in a different direction, I will take this conversation whichever direction she goes. Okay. Now, if she guides the direction into less about when the decision was made and how she's going to use her remaining time, which is what I feel like she's likely going to do, I'm going to guide the direction, the streams, the remaining streams in that direction. However, if there are people who continue to try to stir the pot and continue to try to make a case that tarnishes what she is trying to do, I will stand up and counter that point with any and every piece of compelling evidence against it. And I will take whatever they say, and if there are things that are contrary to what they are saying, I will point them out. And so long as the evidence is contradictory, it does not make what they are saying fact. That's what I gotta say about that. So, let's cheer Pikamee on her remaining streams. Let's support her for as long as we can. Let's wish her well. Let's hope that she takes a well-deserved break, and let's see whether or not she does evolve into a second form and come back. Because if she does, it will be some compelling new VTuber type of lore that we will be able to witness, and it will be a sight to see. So what I am going to do is I am going to take a supper break for a little bit, and then I am going to play the Forbidden Wizard game, and I'm going to play it for a while. Wulong is going to be on hold until tomorrow because apparently it does not like to play nice with a Nintendo controller. So I need to play around with the control schemes for it a little bit because it does not seem to control well with the mouse and keyboard. So I gotta figure out whether or not it'll play nice with my PS4 controller or my Xbox One controller. So I might do that tomorrow. So I'm going to play the Wizard game. Yes, I'm going to play Hogwarts Legacy later on tonight. But I'm going to take a break for supper, and then I'll put the room up for Hogwarts in a little bit, and then we'll play the Wizard game here later on tonight. If you want to join me, feel free. If not, thank you very much for joining. Thank you so much for those of you who commented in the comments, those of you who contributed to the conversation, and those of you who voiced your opinions contrary to what I said. I value everybody's input, even if you do not agree with me. I value those comments just as much because you know what? That makes me think, that makes you think, and that makes us think together. And that's what this is all about. I make these types of streams for us to discuss the topic. It's not for me to sit here and tell you that you are wrong. It's for us to talk about it. That's what I make these conversations for, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like these types of talks, I make these talks every time something like this happens within the VTuber world, because I am one of the few VTubers out there who will openly invite you to talk about these types of things when they happen. So if you like these types of talks, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I know this is a plug. However, I am one of the few people who will let you have the floor and talk about it so long as you're civil. So if you feel like you need to talk about these types of things when they happen, my channel is typically open when these things happen. And I typically try to make at least one stream where we can talk about these things. So if you need a forum or a place to talk about these things, please consider subscribing. My channel is here for those types of things, and I do try to make a forum for my listeners and for myself to talk about these things, so we can separate fact from misinformation, and so we can vent our frustrations, talk about our feelings, and we can, get through these times together, because that's what we need more than anything else. All right? So I will see those of you who want to join me later on tonight for Hogwarts Legacy. If you are just here for the Pikamee news, again, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate your viewership, and I appreciate you being here. Until then, folks, this is Marko Yamashita, signing off. Peace!
I need help, it's so cold outside and I'm going through hell. I don't feel alive, sometimes I can't tell, 'cause every day I try, but I think I need